Welcome to everyone. We're really excited to be able to talk with you this afternoon about the Maternal and Infant Health R&D Grant Program. This is a joint initiative between CSIT and the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, which is looking to advance innovation and the innovation economy through the development of necessary research and development projects designed to enhance maternal and infant health. This effort really supports the goals that have been established in the Nurture NJ strategic plan, which aims to make New Jersey the safest place in America to deliver a baby. Specifically, we're looking to focus on ending racial disparities in maternal and infant healthcare outcomes. This initiative, Nurture NJ, was launched in 2019 by Governor Phil Murphy and First Lady Tammy Murphy, and it's a comprehensive whole government effort to reduce maternal and infant mortality, morbidity, and ensure equitable care among women and children of all races and ethnicities in New Jersey. And CSIT has had a number of different R&D grant programs, and we are really excited to be able to extend our R&D grant programs to one specifically focused on infant and maternal health. On the next slide, you'll see the topics that we're planning to cover in this webinar. We're going to give you an overview of the program. We're going to tell you how to submit. We're going to talk about the eligibility criteria, what sort of documents you need to provide as part of your application. We'll talk about the scoring criteria and bonus points, some additional terms and conditions. We'll give some tips on how to really submit a great application, and we're going to talk about the timeline. Again, as was mentioned earlier, it's a little bit easier for us. We're going to answer all the questions at the end. We will also post on our website an FAQ document along with a copy of this presentation slides, and then we're going to have a set of slides that are specifically going to show you screenshots of the application portal. So again, the goal of the program, of the Maternal and Infant Healthcare Program, is to support innovators, researchers, and entrepreneurs who are focused on developing technologies, therapeutics, and other solutions to address maternal and infant health challenges in New Jersey. And so what's important is that word development. We're looking for, this program is supporting research and development activities supporting those areas. What are the different types of targeted areas that you might be working on for which this grant is appropriate? You could be in the life sciences space. You could be doing certain sort of therapeutic drug development. You might be working on medical devices that again are addressing maternal and infant healthcare challenges. You might have a technology solution. Maybe it's an app that you're developing that is helping to provide information to pregnant moms about how they need to be able to perhaps manage their diet. It could be other sorts of telehealth services that your app is going to be providing. So it could be platform development associated with that, as well as potentially food and retail, non-retail, food and beverage non-retail activity. Our grants are going to be awarded on a competitive basis with awards going to the highest scoring applications. So it's really important as you're putting in your application to do the best job so that you can get the most number of points associated with your application. The grants eligible applicants can receive grants of up to $75,000, and each grant is valid for a period of 12 months. It is possible for an awardee to ask for a no-cost 3-month extension if you need a little bit additional time to work on the project. But the project that you're going to be proposing to us is up to $75,000 and really for a period of 12 months. And again, the objectives is to help early stage researchers and entrepreneurs advance their technology. And again, you're focusing on maternal and infant healthcare challenges. And the period of time that we're looking at is really prenatal to really post 12 months postpartum is the period of time that we're focused on for this particular program. And we're hoping to really engage our early stage companies so that they can accelerate their development and discoveries from research into commercially viable products and services that are going to have a critically important impact on maternal and infant health in New Jersey and hopefully nationwide as well. So what can you use the money for? Again, research and development activities, products and services that are addressing quality of care and services and activities for women, infant healthcare agencies, again, prenatal through postpartum period. You are able to use no more than 30% of your proposed budget for things like marketing and customer discovery. Perhaps you've got a patent associated with the project you're working on. You can use some of it for patent prosecution and licensing related expenses, as well as relevant conference registration fees. What can you not use the money for? The money is not to be used for direct counseling of patients, clinical services, manufacturing of a product for commercial sale or use, any real estate, rental expenses that a company might have, any patient clinical trial expenses or construction expenses. Again, this is a research and development grant, which is why we have listed out things that are not eligible to be covered under this grant. Now, I want to talk about the sections of the application. So the first set of boxes, you're going to go onto the application manager, and we'll show you at the end where you log on to on the CSIT website to be able to click to get into the application manager. There's going to be a welcome screen, and there's going to be some eligibility questions that you need to answer to ensure that, again, your company is eligible to apply for this grant. We don't want you spending time filling out the whole application and right before the submit button, discovering that you're not eligible to participate. We have some information, some background information about the company that we're looking for. You can put down information about a key primary contact information, website information. There's also a series of questions around diversity, equity, and inclusion that, again, are in this sort of welcome company information, primary contact section. So that's kind of the getting started piece of the application. The middle row, which is the project description, milestones and budgets, go-to-market strategy, and team information, is really the guts of your proposal. And the way the application is set up is that there's a series of questions that we ask. There's a box that pops up, and you can answer information in those boxes. Don't be fooled by the size of the box. Look at the number of word limit that you have to fill out that information, and assume that all we know about your project is what you submit on your application. So do the best job possible of describing what is your project, how innovative is the activity, how do you differ from the competition. Then on the milestone and budget piece, we want to know, what exactly are you going to be doing with the money? Now, there is going to be an Excel sheet that also gets uploaded where you're able to, in detail, tell us about the budget and milestones. But in a couple of sentences, there's another question where we're asking, what exactly are you going to be doing if you are awarded the funding? Then we want to know, what is your go-to-market strategy? Are you planning to license this to a larger company? Perhaps you're going to partner with a large pharmaceutical company to get your product to the marketplace. Perhaps your plan to getting to the market is you're going to put it up on an app store, and people are going to be able to download directly from an app store, if that's the kind of product or service that you have. Or it might be something that it's a direct to consumer that you're going to be selling directly. We also want to know a little bit about the team. Who's going to be working on this particular project. So tell us a little bit about their biographies. There's an opportunity to give us their LinkedIn profile, any educational background. So as I said, so this middle layer is really the place where you want to spend time on what it is you're intending to do. The last layer on this slide, acknowledgement of a virtual presentation, the list of required documents, some legal questionnaire that gets answered in the submit button. Again, it's important, but this is really administrative aspects associated with your application. So again, Maku is going to talk a little bit about some of the additional information about how to submit as soon as I finish saying this thing, but I want to mention, as you're starting this application, you might think, oh my God, this looks really daunting. There's a lot of boxes of information. You're able to start an application, you're able to save it, and then come back. So you don't have to necessarily answer everything all in one sitting. If, as you start getting into, you realize that there's some additional information that you need to capture, you can come back, update your application. So really spend time putting together the best application you can, because that makes our job easy as we're able to look at these applications. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Maku Etta, who is a program manager in the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. And this program is literally her baby. So, Maku.
Thank you, Judith. So I'll just walk through the application project. And as Judith mentioned, really the meat of it, the eligibility requirement, who can apply, who cannot apply, and then also the scoring processes, and then some other terms and conditions. So our application process is straightforward. For those of you that have applied for a CSIT program before, this is not new information. Of course, as Judith mentioned, you first have to start by completing the application. You have to complete and submit the application. Make sure you hit submit, of course, so we are able to see it on our end and review your application. So that is really the first step of all of this. We then review all applications that are submitted. This is the document completion review period. This is where we take a look at all of the proposals as well as the required documents that you have to submit with your proposal. And I'll talk a little bit about those required documents in a moment. If you are missing information, we will send you a resubmission letter saying with your application number, and provide a list of details that you have submitted. So if you miss some of the employer verification documents, if you forget to submit your tax clearance, so forth, we will send you a letter, and you have 10 days from the date of when we sent that. You have 10 days to resend those missing documents. And we'll have those deadline dates within the letter as well. So you submit the document, we review it, and then if anything is missing, you will receive an emailed letter from us. That letter will be emailed, and then you will email the documents back to us, because you will no longer have access to go back into the portal and upload these documents. So you will be sending them back directly to our email address. After the document has been completed, all of the information has been received, and your application is deemed complete, we then schedule virtual presentations. Now, this process has started really to allow applicants to provide us with an overview just of the project. Sometimes applications are not as thorough enough in terms of the details of the project. So the virtual presentations allows applicants, representatives from each company to walk us through the project. We were able to meet even some of the team members, talk a little bit about your innovation, the impact, of course, as well as other components of the proposal. We invite some of our subject matter experts to these virtual presentations who are able to provide us with input on the strength of the innovation and the project. These are experts within the specific field, subject matter experts, and they also during the virtual presentations ask clarifying questions to the applicants, and it just gives us a little bit more detail on the project. Now, this part is not scored, but it does allows us to get a further information on the project. Once we receive the input from the subject matter experts, we then start the scoring process. Each application is scored, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then when we have our recommendations, we bring for awards, we bring that to our board for approval before we make announcements about the grant. So what's the eligibility process criteria, and who can and cannot apply? So I'll just walk through this quickly so everyone has a very clear understanding. You must be an authorized and in good standing to conduct business in New Jersey. You have to have a business in the state of New Jersey. And this is evidenced by you will have to receive a current New Jersey tax clearance certificate. Now, this process may take a while. We advise all of our applicants to start early in gathering your tax clearance, but you have to be a business. Unfortunately, we do not, the grant is not nonprofits cannot apply for the grant. You have to be you have to have a business in New Jersey. You also have to have a minimum of one full-time equivalent employee with the FTE of at least 35 hours per week. This can include founders as well, with at least one employee working 50% of their time on the project being proposed. So that's extremely important to note. There has to be a minimum of one full-time equivalent employee and with at least one employee working 50% of their time on the project. 50% or more of the work of its employees, including founders and contractors, must be conducted in New Jersey. You can't have no more than 25 full-time equivalent workers at the time of the application. And each applicant must have less than $1 million in previous calendar year sales revenue. So this is less than or equal to $1 million in previous calendar year sales revenue. And then there's a new policy that has actually kind of come down the pike for both CSIT and NJIT, and that requires that any individual cannot own or control more than 1% of stock of the applicant, or be an employee or officer of any agency of the state. Now, this is a new policy. If any applicant has any questions about this particular policy, you can feel free to contact us. But if there is someone who controls more than 1% stock of the company, and they are an employee or officer of any agency of the state, the company will not be able to apply. There are some stipulations to this, especially if you're connected with a higher education institution that are considered, many of them are considered agencies of the state. But again, if you have any questions regarding this particular eligibility requirement, feel free to contact us. In the application process, you're going to have to submit by uploading several documents. So this is just a list of the documents here. One of the things that really helps us get a sense of where you are in the development stage is your proof of concept. Now, this proof of concept can be anything from just a description of research that you've done on your innovation, description of outcome results. Some of you may have applied and received an SBIR, STTR federal grant. You're able to submit that as a proof of concept. A published research paper on your innovation. You can also share a patent application, the summary section of a patent application that you've submitted. Anything that really helps us get a sense that you have really moved past the idea stage for a bit, and you have a strong sense of the innovation. Employee information, these are employee verification information for everyone that works for the company that puts in time towards this project. We require verification, employment verification, whether they're a consultant, they may have a 1099. If they're full-time, they would have a W-2. You may also have a WR-30. So just some type of verification. If they were recently hired, we also welcome offer letters. If they are just shareholders, there may be a shareholder agreement. So anyone that is listed in the employee log that is in the application, we will need a verification document to support that individual. A summary of your most recent internal payroll, most recent company tax filings. Again, I mentioned the New Jersey tax clearance certificate. Again, we can't stress enough how to start that process early. And for those that have a minority, women, or veteran-owned business New Jersey certification, we encourage you to submit that certification, because that also, and we'll get to it in the scoring section, with that certification, you are allowed bonus points for this particular program, in this particular program. We do, unfortunately, currently we do not accept non-state certification, so we only accept the New Jersey state certification. A signed application certification, you'll complete the legal department questionnaire that is a part of the application as well, and also a new policy you have to complete a non-involvement in Russia or Belarus certification. And these will all be, the last three documents are attached to the application. So you will complete that before you submit the application. So what's the scoring criteria? What's really the scoring breakdown here? There are 5 categories that we score the applications by. Go-to-market strategy. We look at how strong your go-to-market strategy is. Community engagement and impact. This is a very vulnerable population we're talking about here. We're looking at not just the innovation of your technology, but we're also looking at the impact of that technology and how the company has engaged with this community. So we look at a community engagement and impact. We look at your implementation plan. We look at the innovation of your R&D, the strength of that innovation. Are you developing something that not only does, in a way does not exist, but there's innovation behind it? And we look at the strength of your team. You can get scores of up to 5 points for each category for a total of 25 points. Applicants must score at least a minimum of 10 points in the scoring criteria to be recommended for an award or even to receive any associated bonus points. And what are those bonus points? So again, I mentioned having a minority-owned business certification, women-owned business certification, veteran-owned business certification. And we also allow for bonus points if you are located in an opportunity zone eligible census tract, or if you are in a government-restricted municipality. This is Patterson, Trenton, or Atlantic City. Each bonus point is worth 2 points. Just a few terms and conditions for the application to consider. From a reporting aspect, we do require an economic impact report. We do collect economic data from our applicants. You must report on economic impact data to CSIT upon the completion of the program for a period of 2 years. This helps us track things like if you've increased your investment dollars, if you've increased the R&D space, you've moved from one laboratory to a larger lab, and so forth. There's a commitment to New Jersey. The applicant must agree that employees and consultants will conduct at least 50% of the work in New Jersey for a period of 2 years from the effective date of the grant agreement. And if this is not if this is not complied, there will be a full repayment of the grant within 60 days of the relocation, or as conditions state in the grant agreement. So again, very important. We are a New Jersey-based agency, and our grants are to support innovations in the state of New Jersey. CSIT events, we always, of course, encourage and look to our applicants, our awardees, to participate in future CSIT or NJEDA alumni activities that we have, whether they be roundtables, panels, or sessions. And then we occasionally organize site visits, participate in at least one in-person interim site visit from CSIT EDA team for an update on your project. So just some important information. The application portal will open July 1st, that is Friday at 9 p.m. And it closes on August 26th at 5 p.m. Now, we can't stress enough to not wait till 5 p.m. to submit your document. Please submit it earlier than 5. We don't want the system closing on you and you are still trying to, complete your applications. You can contact, if you have any questions regarding the application, you can contact us at CSIT Maternal at njeda.com. This is also where the applications are submitted to. But if anyone has any questions, you can reach out to us there. You will reach myself or one of my colleagues. There is an electronic signature that an application certification that you will sign. You can sign this electronically, or you can upload and sign the PDF version. So you have options for electronically signing the verifying the application. Again, if you have any missing documents, you will receive an email to resubmit those missing documents. Failure to provide those missing documents can be subject to your application to be deemed incomplete and will not be evaluated. So it's very important that when you receive that resubmission letter, to follow up with the documents that are needed. And of course, we always are mindful of continued COVID delays, whether it be through the application process, but particularly sometimes in when you're trying to acquire your tax clearance or other certification process that are done within other government agencies. Just be mindful. So what does a winning application look like? As Judith mentioned, we've run several seed grant programs through CSIT, and we just really wanted to highlight some of the things to think about as you are applying. Once you submit your application, you cannot make additional changes. So it's very important that you take your time and you really sit and develop a detailed and clear application, especially as you're describing your innovation. So be detailed and clear when describing your innovation project. Don't think that too much information is a bad thing. Make sure to include all of the aspects of your project in the project description section. Start early and review before you submit. Do not wait till the last minute. We want to, you really want to take the time to develop the full proposal. Fully answer each question. As Judith mentioned, don't be mindful. There is a box. Fully utilize the space that you have to answer each question. we've received applications where there's, one or two words or one short sentence. It's just not enough. You want to make sure you are as detailed as possible. Steer clear of jargon. Just really focus on the specifics of your project, and steer clear of just any jargon or language that may color your project. Just be very clear and detailed and as descriptive as possible. And again, submit before 5 p.m. We cannot stress enough how many times applicants, the system has closed at 5 p.m. and applicants were not able to complete a few last questions. And unfortunately, it's hard, we're not allowed to reopen the system and let them back in. So don't wait till the 5 p.m. mark, submit before 5 p.m. So our timeline today, of course, we're hosting this webinar to talk through the application. The applications open July 1st at 9 p.m. promptly on the dot, and they will close August 26th at 5 p.m. So a good amount of time to really sit and think through your application process. For the virtual presentations that I discussed, we will try and schedule them around September, October timeframe. And the awards are expected to be made by the first quarter of next year. So I think, again, Judith and I would like to just thank you all for joining the call. I know we may have a few questions on the Q&A and maybe even in the chat. So we'll just open that up for questions. Again, you can find the application on the njeda.com/CSIT under the Maternal and Infant Health R&D grant program. And if you have any questions, you can reach us at csitmaternal@njeda.com. So I think I'll open it up for any questions. So Frances, I think we just have maybe one.
We have one so far in
Okay.
the Q&A. Can you share when award notifications go out?
Yeah, so award notifications, again, will go out in the first quarter of next year. So, you will, and those are received by email.
So let me ask another question that wasn't currently asked, but so I have another CSIT or EDA grant. Am I able to apply for this grant as well? And the answer is, as long as you are developing a different research and development project than one that you are currently funded for from the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology, we welcome your submission to this grant program, but we are not able to pay twice for the same scope of work. So it's got to be something that is different than what you are already funded to do.
And we will review both proposals, so we know whether or not the project and the budgets are different. Yep.
We have another question. It says, well, please share the timeline. I think that's been shared already.
Yeah. So the timeline, again, applications open this Friday, July 1st. They close August 26th.
And again, it's 9 a.m. in the morning that the application portal opens.
Yep.
What was the date that it closes again? Oh, August 26th.
August 26th. Yep.
And we have another question. How old does your business have to be to participate in the program?
You can be a brand new business that you have started, as long as you have all of the required documentation. If you have, as long as you're able to get a tax clearance certificate, you could have started your business relatively recently. So there's no limit that says you have to be 1 year old, 5 years old in order to participate. You just need to be able to get that tax clearance certificate, and some of the requirements associated with that means you have to have a business registration, so that there are some things about setting up your business that you need to do. So if you have not yet started a business, but you've got an idea and you're thinking of applying for this grant, please immediately get your business set up so that you will be able to apply.
Yep. And so Judith, I think in connection to that ability to apply to 2 separate CSIT grant programs, can a company apply twice for the same maternal program? So can the same company submit 2 separate project ideas? So that also goes to your answer.
Yes, so the answer again is it has to be 2 separate concepts. Again, if it's a small company, we're going to look at the amount of time that you've got people working on each project to make sure that you meet those eligibility criteria. But I would really recommend you focus on one idea
project
that you've got the best concept developed for, as opposed to doing a scattergun of a bunch of different ideas.
Yep. Correct.
I don't see any more questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
Well, as I said, we are really excited about this program. It's a pilot program that we're doing in conjunction with a lot of the Nurture and J initiatives. There's a lot of work certainly that's happened that COVID has brought to light around mental health aspects. And so there's obviously mental health components. So again, the type of project that could be developed could be something that's working on an app to help pregnant mothers, an app to help mothers after their child is born deal with postpartum depression. We know that sometimes there's challenges in terms of being able to get to medical care. So you could have patient portal things that you're developing that provide information to families about how to care for young children, because again, this period can be particularly vulnerable time frame for pregnant women and for newborns. And so we're looking for lots of innovative ideas to ensure that New Jersey can be the safest place for women to have their children and for children to be able to grow and survive.
Absolutely.
We have an additional question in the Q&A. If we provide you a title, you will decide if the project is suitable for this grant before we submit.
Just a title, the project title?
Yes, if we provide you a title.
So listen, we're happy. I think, so the short answer is no, but I think what we are happy to do is if anyone just, if anyone wants to talk to us about the work that they're doing or, the ideas that they're trying to propose, of course, we can't tell you whether something is strong or not, but we're always happy to have conversations with companies. But, a title in itself is not enough for us to determine much of anything. But I know Judith and I are always happy to talk to companies and learn about what they're doing. So if there's extra guidance we can provide on the criteria of the grant, and just learn a little bit more about what some of the work that they're doing, we're happy to do so. I don't know, Judith, you had anything to.
No, I agree. I think, we're certainly happy to talk with people. We're happy to let them know not only about the kinds of incentive programs that are available through CSIT, in addition to the infant and maternal programs, but other programs through the EDA that might be appropriate complementary programs for companies to apply for.
Yep. It looks like, do we have another?
So someone is asking about
awards?
is asking about a link to the application. We're going to post it on the CSIT website, njeda.com/CSIT. We'll post information about the application portal, as well as copies of this presentation, copies of these slides, as well as copies of slides that are going to show you the actual screenshots of what to expect with the portal.
The program has a budget of $750,000, so we're hoping to fund 10 awards for this pilot effort. So I know someone had a question about how many awards will we looking to fund. So 10 awards in the amount of $75,000.
Okay.
Let's see. Any other questions? I think that's all the questions for now.
Great. Well, as I said, we are really looking forward to receiving these applications. This is an important topic, both from a technology perspective as well as from a community impact perspective. So we're looking forward to seeing and learning about the innovations from entrepreneurs in New Jersey.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to send us an email at csitmaternal@njeda.com. So we look forward to reviewing your applications.